Welcome to the Shetland Times podcast. I'm your host, Thor Holt, and before we meet today's guest, please remember we would love to hear your suggestions for who else you'd love to hear on the show. You can go to shetlandtimes.co.uk or you can catch up with Shetland Times on Facebook and let us know there. Now, it was once said of today's guest by Scotland's wisest comedian, bar none, Billy Connolly. He said, "I had never heard the clarity of tone or the beauty. I had never heard the passion about this guy." Now, I hope you are going to enjoy my conversation with folk music living legend and apparently the best Indian chef who's not actually from India, Aly Bain. MBE. Let's not miss off the MBE. Hello, Ali. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks, fine.
Is this true about the Indian chef thing? Is this truth?
Well, I'm actually cooking a curry at the moment. I just took a break to speak to you.
Well, we better watch our time. What are you cooking? What is it?
Oh, it's just a chicken curry. But I've got to the stage now where I don't use recipes. I just make them out of my head, you know.
That sounds good.
So I don't know what it is, but that'll be good.
Will it be hot? Like, how hot do you go?
No, not that hot. I mean, I like them hot, but other people, can't take it that way. So I make them quite medium hot, you know.
Sounds good to me. Medium hot sounds good.
Yeah.
I actually was in India before Christmas, and that is one of my favourite things, like a good, decent, middle-of-the-road curry. I can't handle the proper hot ones either.
No, where in India were you?
Delhi. Yeah, just for a few days with a charity I support. You get around
fantastic.
yourself, don't you? You're all over the place.
Yeah, we were in Bombay playing there once. I just loved India. I thought this is a place I could stay for years and just investigate, you know, just take to the roads, and I just loved it. I thought it was almost like 1 minute you're in a modern place, the next minute you're in the Middle Ages. It was just incredible. I just loved it. You know, we played in the Tata Theatre in Bombay with a revolving stage that went round and then broke down usually halfway around, and the air conditioning didn't work. People were fainting with the heat, but it was wonderful. The audience was packed, and there was only one white person in the audience, and that was the French ambassador. So it was a really good concert, and they had this lovely habit of one by one coming down to the stage and clapping and then going back to the seat again, which I thought was really lovely.
It's fantastic, yeah. It's absolutely culturally different, isn't it? Like, it is a proper shock. It's like when you go to Japan or something, like it's fundamentally different. I remember being in the middle of Delhi. I think it's called, is it the India Arch it's called? And it's just like, I don't know, there must have been like 5,000 or 10,000 folk there, and we were there was like 5 of us white people, and it's really amazing, that feeling of literally being just a few white dots in the middle of everybody else, and everyone's kind of looking at you. It's cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And we were going to Japan directly after India, and India ruined Japan for me because nothing could beat India. It was just incredible, and just the colours and the culture and beautiful people.
Yeah,
and it just ruined everything else after that.
Have you?
I actually wanted to stay there for a while, but the band wouldn't stay. You know, they were frightened they got ill and stuff.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I was actually offered a job by the charity when I was over there, and I was flaming tempted, because I agree with you. Like, it's an incredible place, but I mean, it's obvious if you lived there, you wouldn't have anywhere near the kind of, inverted commas, home comforts and things that you used to. But it doesn't seem to matter. I don't know what it is about the place. It's funny, isn't it?
No, I just loved it. It's one of the good things about what we do is travelling and food. I think all entertainers, all travelling musicians get into food. That's doesn't matter where we go in Europe or anywhere. We always get taken out for great meals.
Yeah.
And that's just a highlight of to me, of what we do. After the concert's finished, then they always take us to some really nice restaurant, and I just love that.
How do you cope with the travelling though? Because the travelling's pretty tough. I mean, I've travelled a fair bit with my work and probably nothing on what you've done, Aly, and it strikes me there is a certain stress to it as well, isn't there? Like the actual travelling, like airports and flying. And
well, it didn't used to be. I think we got the best of it. I had, 40 years or 35 years of travelling before Al Qaeda and all that. Mm-hmm. So there used to be no security at all. And in fact, the first time I flew to New York, I flew on the wrong day, and nobody noticed.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, not a soul noticed. You just had a ticket, and you just handed it as you went on the plane, and the passport. Nobody noticed the thing.
Did they notice when you showed up at the venue to play a day early, though?
No, I was actually going to get married, and there was nobody there to meet me when I got there. I thought, wow.
That's terrific. Yeah, listen, this laughter is reminding me of something, Aly, and that is I walked to Morrison's to pick up something for my lunch, and on the way I did like a quick YouTube search for you and Phil, and the first thing that came up, where is it? It's called The Best Tune Introduction in History. People need to go check it out. I'll put it in the show notes. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off the pavement. It's just brilliant. The opening that Phil does. It's brilliant, man. What's it like working with Phil? Because he seems like he's a bit of a comedian, to be honest.
Oh, he is. He's got a great sense of humour, and he's always really charged up. So it's quite a busy life being with him. Yeah. But no, we've travelled so long together now that it's just second nature. We do our own thing and we have our own ways of getting through travelling. Yeah. And he's very much into technology. I mean, he sort of drags me behind him. He's got every gadget known to man. And and I'm sort of. Buying things a year after he does. But if it hadn't been for him, I suppose I'd have been really stupid when it came to all that stuff. He has really helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm. How did you guys run into each other then? How did you? Because he doesn't sound like a Shetlander to me, so I was just wondering how you started working together. Phil used to watch me on TV when he was a boy. Mm-hmm. He's like 14 years younger than me, and. So he grew up in Edinburgh, learned the accordion there and went to lessons, and then just gradually came into the folk scene, and I was already there, living in Edinburgh, so we just met, and I suppose when he was old enough to get into the pub, we met, and and maybe even before that, and it was just a thing that happened, like things do in life. I was in London once, and I was playing at a concert in the festival hall, and I didn't have an accompanist. Something had happened, and I bumped into Phil and said, "Would he come and help me out?" And he did. It was interesting. I think I was sharing the dressing room with Arthur Scargill. Really?
And,
yeah. Good grief.
Yeah, it was maybe Ewan McCall's 70th birthday. I can't remember. It was something like that. Mm-hmm. And Phil came and played, and we thought, "Well, this is good." And then he came and did a TV show I was doing, Aly Bain and Friends thing. And after that, people really liked it, so we did a little tour up in the Highlands for a week. Mm-hmm. And now that's ended up in like 45 nights or something like that, which we do in Scotland every year. So it just developed into its own thing, and we were both fed up with travelling in bands, with mm-hmm. 4 or 5 people. It's a big strain, and also it's not very lucrative when you're working in a band. So we decided that we wouldn't leave Scotland and we would just make a living, the two of us playing. And it worked out really well, and we didn't leave Scotland for many years. And now we go down to England for 2 or 3 weeks, and sometimes to Spain and France and places like that, but Sweden maybe, but not really very far, and not very often.
Mm-hmm. I remember hearing, I think it was you and Nicola Benedetti speaking, maybe some interview or conversation you were having, and you both you spoke about like the power and the feeling of when you're in the middle of actually playing the music and how fantastic that is. Doesn't that fade? Like when I don't want to be rude, but you've had a long, obviously successful career. Does it ever get boring?
No, because I think what you like changes. You know, when I was young, I was playing at 500 miles an hour, and I didn't like slow music, didn't like waltzes or slow airs. Now it's the opposite. I don't like jigs and reels, but I love playing slow music. I love playing beautiful melodies, and that's really what I like doing. And Phil is the same. So the older we get, the more slow tunes we play, but the more we like it.
Yeah.
So it's and actually, we get asked by the audience, by people who come and hear us, we get asked to play slow tunes much more than we do to play reels or jigs. And because they are beautiful, and you can then have a tone, you can then have expression and feel them, and it's kind of slow airs are kind of like us, like blues is in America, I suppose. It's the music that you feel the most, and you can paint all kinds of pictures in your head when you're playing it. So it's not boring doing that. It's boring traveling, and it's boring in hotels. I hate hotels, and I just never want to see another hotel. When I give up playing, I never want to see another hotel again.
Absolutely makes sense to me. Look, it's funny you should mention America, because I was gonna ask you about that. Now, I do some public speaking and seminars and things, and when I was first going to go and speak in America, a pal of mine, the Scottish guy Fraser, said, "Oh, I thought, you're going to get on great in America." And I said, "How's that, Fraser?" Because he'd worked in Houston a lot, and he says, "They're going to love your bullshit over there, man." And I guess, like, I'm quite gobby for a kind of a Scottish person, maybe, and maybe that's what he meant. So I really enjoy US culture, but I think it's really different. We speak the same language, we watch their movies, but culturally I feel we're massively different, and obviously different parts of America can have very different cultures as well. So how did you find that the US took to you, and what was your experience, I guess?
Oh, it was the first time we went, I think the first time I went was 69 or 70, and right at the beginning of the, if you like, folk revival. And we got off the plane in New York. We flew over there on an Iceland Air prop plane.
Brilliant.
I remember. And it was like, right through the clouds all the way.
Oh my goodness. That must have been crazy.
Coming, there was drafts coming in the plane, and it was all painted with oxide paint.
Yeah.
Maybe over the rusty bits, I don't know. But anyway, we bounced all the way over to New York, and when I got off the plane, I just we got in a yellow cabin that went right into the city, and I just loved it. I just absolutely loved it, and we were really lucky because we Mike Wellens and I did I think 40 odd little concerts, folk clubs and universities and things, and mainly on the East Coast, but it was such an experience, and to hear the music over there, to meet other musicians, and great musicians. America is an incredibly musical country. It's full of great musicians and singers, and we met a lot of people starting out at the same time as ourselves over there, and we've remained friends with them ever since. And it was like, I was truly a new world, really, and we just sat in this Volvo and we just drove for thousands of miles. You know? And we drove through blizzards and all kinds of stuff. It was totally amazing. I just loved it. And end up with, we did 60 tours over there.
60?
And 60, yeah. 60 tours. And I spent 3.5 years of my life in America playing, and about a month in the air,
Hopefully the planes got better over the years.
Yes, I did. And then we flew all. Eventually, we flew all over America when we started to fly. But we're going back again with the transatlantic sessions in April, but we're using these big tour buses.
Yeah.
So that should be fun.
Relaxing. Hopefully, you can get a decent rest on it.
I used to love, stopping at Howard Johnson's and all these places and eating fast food. It was like it was new to us, hamburgers and all that stuff. It was new food for us.
What do you
there
think?
wasn't any McDonald's in it.
Well, I was going to say, Aly, what do you think of more recent food in America? Because my experience, like we go to France a couple of times a year, and I'm going to get shot down for saying this, but I've had better French food in America, and certainly better French service at French restaurants in America. Yeah. My experience in America with the food, certainly in the South, has been fantastic. I've had some amazing food. What's your thoughts on the culinary side of it, being as you're a bit of a chef by the sound of it?
You know, in my life, I suppose that there are 4 or 5 meals that you never, ever forget. Just the greatest meals that we ever ate.
Yeah.
One of them was in France, in Brittany. It was a restaurant that, Giscard used to go to, the French president, and he took us there at midnight, and we ate till 7 in the morning.
Wow.
And but the other great meal I had was in a restaurant called the Swiss Restaurant in New Jersey. I think it was Paterson, New Jersey, and it was rack of lamb, and it's the best rack of lamb I've ever eaten. It was just, I just never forget it. It was so good, And then steaks in America, Chinese food, Italian food, Mexican food. It's unbelievable for food. Chinatown in San Francisco we used to go into Chinatown every time we went there, and we just, food was absolutely outstanding,
But hold on,
Nothing
Aly.
like it.
Can I just check in with you, though? That amazing rack of lamb in New Jersey, that wasn't when you just got off that bumpy Iceland Air flight, was it? Because any food's going to taste good.
Oh, no. But, probably the best steak I've ever eaten has been always upstate New York. Stuff like that. And I remember those meals because we had great company and great food when we were eating them. I think food is just a huge part of my life. I just love it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I was going to say the best pizza I ever had was in New Jersey as well. It was after a particularly turbulent flight, and we went to this place, and it was like all Italian staff, and they were really obnoxious, but the food was unbelievable. Just brilliant.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We
used to go down to this restaurant in Little in New York at the end of every tour for a meal, and it was called the Grotto Azzurro. It was down in Little, and we'd go in there and it'd be packed with people. And these waiters would be flying around holding everything above their head, and this little mandolin player, he would appear under the table and play a few notes and then disappear. and all these mafia guys' photos were on the wall, Joe Bananas and all that. It's great. And you really got the feeling that you're in Italy, that you're in American Italy. Again, the food was just wonderful Italian food. And we used to have a big celebration there at the end of every tour.
So what you've missed, though, Aly, in your description of the 4 best meals was Sewer Sheep's Head, Sap, Piltic. What about Shetland food? What's your favourite food from back home?
Oh, I would have to say it's Shetland lamb. There's no lamb in the world can beat Shetland lamb. And the Welsh reckon they have good lamb, but we have better lamb. And I do lamb when I grind up rosemary and mint and thyme and just a bunch of herbs, fresh herbs, and I rub the leg of lamb with olive oil, and then I cake it in herbs. So it's like ruscaline on a fish, I just cake the whole leg of lamb with that, and then roast it, and it forms a crust, and inside the lamb is just absolutely succulent, and that lamb is hard to beat, and especially if it's Shetland lamb.
You've actually got me salivating, Aly. You've got me genuinely salivating. And what I'm wondering is, I did a bit of research on you, and I didn't dig up a cookbook. But have you done a cookbook yet? Because that's got to be next on the list if you haven't.
No. Phil and I thought about doing that because he's really getting into cooking as well, and so we sort of phone up and compare recipes, and he'll ask me stuff, and I'll phone him up and ask him stuff. It's really good fun, and I find it very relaxing. When you're traveling, you eat a lot of rubbish, and like down in England, especially when we're in these motorway places where the food is dreadful, and a lot of the times we're lucky if we get 1 or 2 good meals in the whole tour, And in the morning it's steamed bacon. I don't know.
Oh.
People must get a degree in how not to cook bacon. it's like, so I usually just have cereal and that, and then and these eggs that slide all around the plate. I don't know how people can eat that stuff, but they do.
It's horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah, so when we get home, it's really nice to have home cooking and really good food.
Did you say it was Phil? Did you say it was Phil that is getting into cooking as well? Is that what you said? I missed.
Yes, yeah. Phil is into cooking too. He's a really good cook, and he's a good imagination. He sort of makes things and then adds to them and all that. And no, he's a really good cook.
You see, you two would do an amazing cookery show together because you're funny together. Like it would just be brilliant. I can't believe a TV station wouldn't commission that. You could just sit home in Shetland or Edinburgh or whatever and just do your cookery show. It'd be fantastic.
Well, we did that Ready Steady Cook, on a Burns. Yeah, it was a Burns Ready Steady Cook. It was just hilarious. And then we've done like the Langham Book Festival with, they always have a big cook day there and get some chefs up from London, and Phil and I were going, work with them, cook with them for a laugh, and well, it's just great, and because we learn a lot from these guys because we always ask them stuff, and no real professional chefs. Nick Nairn, he was one of them, and the guy from Ireland, Rankin, he was a great cook, and we just had a great time with him, and. We had a great time afterwards as well. We had a few fights after.
I was going to say, it sounds like you guys have genuinely a lot of fun with the way you get on together and in terms of your career, which is a pretty special thing. There's a lot of people that are just knocking their pan in to get through life and to pay the bills. But I know it's tough with all the travel and everything, but there's something about what I saw anyway of you and Phil in terms of the humour on stage and things actually reminds me of my own upbringing in Shetland. And I for a wee while I worked at the Overhead Dump when I was a youngster, and there was a couple of characters there who I'm not going to name, but just the dark humour was just fantastic, and it still lives with me like nearly 30 years later.
Oh no! I mean, what we do is I've been the luckiest guy in the world, and really had a really privileged life. There's no question about it. And if I was to live it over again, there's not much I would change. I've been very lucky indeed. And but it's when you think back and when I started, 50 years ago, when I went to Glasgow, I didn't know a human being. And I didn't know what I was going to do. So it was exciting from the word go, but we were going into uncharted territory. There was nobody had done what we were doing before us, so there was no one to ask. There was no grants, there was no money, there was no support. You just went and did it, and that's what we did, and it was great fun.
So what age were you when you went? Sorry, I was going to say, what age were you when you headed to Glasgow then, just to kick things off?
I was 22, and I served my time as a joiner in Shetland. I wasn't much of a joiner, to be honest, and I didn't have much interest in it either. And
no.
So I ended up going to Glasgow with Arthur Scargill, who was a producer and came from a family of collectors, of Northeast music. He started an agency, and he had me and Billy Connolly and Barbara Dixon on his books. And it was Arthur who convinced me to go. I had no idea. To this day, I had no idea how I did it. But I went, and I left my airfare in the bank to get home again. But it's still there. I can't remember which bank I put it in.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah. No, things just developed, but it took a long while.
So what age did you first start playing the fiddle? Were you introduced to it by someone in your family or something?
No, I just wanted to do it, and I always wanted a fiddle. So I was about 11, I think, and but I had been born in the same house as Tom Anderson, so I think maybe I'd heard fiddle music and just liked it.
Yeah.
And so when I did start, I went to Tom, and he got me started and showed me what not to do. Mm-hmm. And then off I went. I just loved it, and I found it very relaxing. I hated the school, so when I'd get home from school at night, I would play for an hour, and that kind of got the school out of my system. And I would just play in the lobby, and it's always been, music's a funny thing. If ever you feel bad or ever you feel anxious or whatever, if you play music, it just sort of soothes the whole thing, and that's what I really use it for. And it works.
It does. You're absolutely right. It's amazing, isn't it? Like I've been a nervous flyer over the years, and that's one of the things I use. Actually, it's one of my kind of techniques is to listen to a certain type of music as I'm going through like bad turbulence, and it genuinely changes how your mind works, doesn't it? It's incredible the power of music.
Yeah, I used to drink a lot in planes. I was so nervous. Like they used to have to push me on, and then I remember, having this brandy in front of me on the wee train, and trying not to drink it. Trying to fly through the flight without. And then there was a bump, and the brandy went straight up in the air, and I missed it. And then they wouldn't serve anymore because of the turbulence.
And then you gave up your first career as a pilot. Yeah, decided you would become a musician. It's actually I put a bit of your music on like 5 minutes before I called you to do this interview, and I was kind of feeling a bit sluggish, like it's after lunchtime, and I literally couldn't help myself. Luckily my daughter's not here. I did some embarrassing daddy dancing around the kitchen with music. Well, it's incredible the power of something like that, though. It's just lovely, isn't it? It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, it's been great, and I'm lucky I'm still playing. I'm 70 and I'm still touring and still playing, but I don't do as much now. And I don't do anything much now that stresses me out. I've done all that. I don't know if I did be doing any more of it.
Well, speaking of, sorry, go on.
No, I'm just happy, playing with Phil and doing the odd thing, and working with the transatlantic sessions is good fun. And so that's about it. I'm not looking to do anything different.
No, it was something I was wanting to ask you, and I don't want it to turn into any kind of psychotherapy session or anything, don't worry, but I was just fascinated that you said that you were playing and like you play for an hour after school to kind of get the school out of your system. What was so terrible about the school or the school experience that you needed to do that, do you think?
I just hated the school. I just hated it. I mean, central school when I was growing up was like something with the Charles Dickens. It was, if you were bright, it was okay. If you weren't, you just got left behind, and there wasn't. It was a very old-fashioned place with a very, very strict headmaster who everybody was terrified of, who ruled by fear, and I didn't like that. I just didn't like it at all.
No.
In fact, I had a stammer at school. I couldn't hardly speak, and the day I left school, I lost the stammer. So
wow.
Yeah, so there I was really brave going to school every day because I hated it, and so I don't have much happy memories of school. Maybe our wee band we had with Sonny Morrison and John Tulloch and Ron Matheson and Wilma Robertson. We had a little school band and called ourselves the Rhythm Aces, and I used to get out of algebra periods practicing with them.
Brilliant.
And, that was the only bit of school that I really enjoyed.
Well, I suppose it gave you that negative motivator to be, like you say, you would come home and kind of play to get out of your system. So maybe we can try and pull a silver lining from that dark cloud of school.
Well, I think, I don't know, I think that when I was at school, you got, instead of teachers installing, confidence in you, they knocked it out of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's affected me all my life. I've suffered from a lack of confidence, and I'm sure that's where it came from. There was early days in school where you were just, if you had anything, they just knocked it right out of you. Yeah. It was horrible. I just hated it.
That is a great shame. Well, I'm here to tell you you're a pretty impressive character. And hey, you've got an MBE, so you can take that one, stick it back to the school.
I have an MBE. I don't know where it is. And I just think things like that. It's kind of being a member of the British Empire. It's not really my cup of tea, the British Empire.
It wasn't everyone's cup of tea, apparently.
No. I think it's about time they were changing these measures into something different. You know,
Yeah.
we don't have an empire anymore for a start. So
Getting to the 21st century.
Yeah.
So I was something I dug up when I was looking around, and I was on you guys' website. Is there a new one on the way? Because I wouldn't want to go and put you guys' website in the show notes if it's about to change. So in terms of people going and finding out more about you, your music, and what gigs might be happening and things, where's the best place for people to go for that?
Probably Phil's website. Phil is up on all that stuff, but I don't bother with it much. And I think I have a website, but I don't use it much.
You think you have one? I like it. That's a very relaxing way to be. I'm not sure if I have one or not. So Phil's website though.
No, Phil is usually pretty good, and or Firefly Productions. They're our agents. They usually have our tours up.
Okay, brilliant.
Great. But people know we're coming every summer, so we've been doing it just for years and years.
Superb.
Yeah.
I had one more question for Aly before you go. And thank you so much for your time. You've been very generous with your time. But I'm asking this to everybody that I interview, and it's basically what advice would you give to someone if someone came to you or you ran into someone who said they were considering visiting or maybe even living in Shetland? What bit of advice or wisdom would you give them?
What if they were coming to live in Shetland?
Yeah, if they were considering living in Shetland, yeah, but they were from somewhere down south.
Well, I guess I would tell them that the weather isn't very good. Other than that, it's perfect.
And the food's better in New Jersey, so don't come. Just stay where you are.
No, I would say that. I would tell them to beware of the weather, but other than that, it's the perfect place to live.
Brilliant. Thanks, Aly. Appreciate you coming on the Shetland Times podcast. Is there anything else you want to say before you head off?
No. Just hello to everybody up there.
Hope that curry hasn't been spoilt by this 30-odd minute chat. You better get a look at it.
Yeah, no chance.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Aly Bain even half as much as I did. That was fantastic fun. Please do go and visit shetlandtimes.co.uk or their Facebook page. Suggest people you'd like to hear us interview on the podcast and feed back to us as well. You can feed back to me personally at Thor Holt on Twitter, and love to hear what you're thinking. Remember, the Shetland Times does more than just produce a cracking weekly newspaper, of course. They design online campaigns to help promote your business and can include commercial print, social media, plus newspaper and magazine advertising. So get in touch to hear more about that. And I look forward to catching up with you next time on the Shetland Times podcast. Cheers. See you next time.